Good morning, my tiki-takis. It is Wednesday. We have made it to Wednesday. Can you believe it? It feels good to have made it to Wednesday. I kid you not. So I had some things I wanted to talk about today, but I'm going to wait for more of you to get on first. And I'm going to adjust this a bit because I feel like it's a little less where it needs to be. All right. So I was really inspired by Jen McPole, who I don't know is going to be on today or not. She was doing some beautiful bookmarks, and I had done a bookmark, I don't know, a week or two ago, but she was doing a bookmark that, kind of spanned the whole thing, and she was just like working in, I don't know what you would call it. She was just working in like one whole page and then was going to cut it up. And so I was thinking that might be fun to do. And I'm still trying to get this looking like a little bit more even, I think. There we go. All right. So today I think that's what we're going to do. But I'd like to do like a whole page and then like cut it into strips. But I have so many things I want to tell you guys about. We went to my daughter's 8th grade gallery last night. She goes to an art school, and oh my gosh, the things that we got to see last night. These kids are so freaking talented. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how talented these kids are. For those of you that don't know, my daughter goes to a magnet school of the arts, and she is crazy talented. I'm so proud of her, and I'm trying to find something that I can put this on tape-wise, but I think I'm going to just have to go with it right here. But anyway, they did this one project where they took 2 paintings, and then they cut it into slices, and then a third piece of paper that was like folded into an accordion. And then they glued one slice on either side of the accordion from each piece of the opposite painting, so that when you looked at it as a whole, it was like, one side was the complete painting of one. And then when you looked at it from the other direction, it was the complete painting of the other side, or the other painting. And they were so cool. And as you can imagine with, middle school kids, there's a lot of, especially art middle school kids. Oh, my camera's being dramatic. Let me make sure. Sorry. It's telling me I need to unlock my phone. So let me just do that and then lock it again. Okay. There we go. I don't know why it does that, but okay, here we go. So, it was so cool. And some of these kids, like this one was so cute. As we were walking down the hallway, because they like line the hallways with some of these as well. This one student had this cute one of like a cow and a chicken and a pig. And I was like, hold up, I know what's going to be on the other side. And I look at the other side, and sure enough, it's a steak, a barbecue chicken, and some bacon. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was laughing so hard. But it is what it is. We do eat those things. So anyway, I was cracking up, having a good time. We really enjoyed getting to see all of the art there at their school, and how talented these kids are. I know I keep saying it, but these kids are so stinking talented. It's crazy. So anyway, I was just really impressed with the level of talent at that school. And my daughter's going to be going on to high school in the fall, and she's going to be going on to a magnet school of the arts. Actually, this one is not. I don't know if this one's considered a magnet school, but it is a school, a high school for the arts that a lot of the magnet school kids go to. And the reason I'm not sure if it's a magnet school is because it doesn't work based on lottery like the actual magnet schools do. Because I know she had to like audition to get into the school that she went to for middle school. And then even if she did you know, pass or whatever, her audition, she was put into a lottery, and basically it's like you either get picked or you don't. But you're like in a higher priority category if you pass your auditions or not, which obviously she did. But then when she auditioned to go to this high school, there's no lottery. You either pass or you don't. And so she, of course, passed and was accepted into this school. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. And yeah, so I'm just going to continue to get this taped down and all of that good stuff. All right, oh, let me fix that little edge piece there. There we go. All right, got my coffee. I'm gonna grab one more thing really quick. I'm gonna keep talking so that you know that I'm here, but I'm gonna grab my iPad so that if anything comes up, I can show it to you since I won't have my phone available. Okie dokie. So that's what we'll be working on today. All right, I got my water, got my watercolors. Let's see here. I'm gonna try to decide what color scheme I wanna go for today. Bring out my handy dandy palette scout. And let me bring out some of these color schemes. So we used this a couple of times already, which was cool. And I'm thinking today, so yesterday and today I've been, well, yesterday it rained all day long. Today it's supposed to rain the majority of the day. I don't know, but I'm kind of feeling like I've been going towards the same colors every time I go for a color palette. So I want to try to kind of step out of my comfort zone a little bit and see what we get. So I'm gonna maybe try to find something here that may be a little out of what I would normally do, which really I use all these colors, but lately I've been doing a lot of darks. So let's see, how about we start with Neptune. Let's go with Neptune. So I'm going to find Neptune here. There we go. And this is what the Neptune card says. So it says complement is orange, monochrome, analogous, split complement, and triadic. I don't love any of those. But if you turn it on the back, this is going to be your pure intensities and your tones. So I'm thinking in terms of like background colors, because what I'm going to do is cut this up into bookmarks. And so the way I'm going to do this is bring in that one. Let me find Neptune here. All right, so I'm going to find all the Neptunes, which is those 5. And as you can see, there are dots on one side of the card. I'll bring those in closer. One side of the card has dots, the others don't. So the sides that don't have dots are the pure intensity side, and the sides that do are the ones with the differing tones. So you can see that here, hopefully. So I'm kind of trying to decide which one of these I want to do, if I want to do these pure tones or not. I do have this color over here called Indanthrone Blue that I think is pretty close to this number 2 Neptune. And we can actually swatch that. I'm going to bring in this piece of paper and just grab some of this and swatch it. Let's see. Get a paper towel. And so if I look at that, that's pretty close because you can change obviously the intensity of that color. So I would say this is pretty close to that watercolor. So if I wanted to, I could base everything off of this one. So let's take a look and see what it recommends. So it's got the analogous colors, the split complements, and the triadics. And I'm kind of feeling like maybe the triadics might be the way to go, because these are going to blend and turn into purple, and then these two are going to blend and turn into orange, and then these two are going to blend and turn into green. So this one is going to be this red square, and if you come over here, the red square is hibiscus. So let's go over here and find hibiscus. So let me pull out all the hibiscus colors, which should be all of these. And then the yellow square is going to be buttercup. So let's look for buttercup right here. We're going to pull out all 5 of those and set those aside. And I'm just going to pick these up and move these to the side because we used these in previous projects. All right, so now we've got these. We know that's our base color there. And I'm going to just put this over here so you can see that. Okay, so this one, if we're going with like the same intensity across all of them, would be number 2. So you would see that. Actually, that doesn't look right. Let's see. This is actually darker, so that's why. So this would be those 2, but it would be number 3, number 3, and number 3 like this. So you can see these all match these 3 right here. So what we want to do is try to find kind of like this shade range that would work well. So we know that this watercolor can be used with this darker intensity here. And so I think what I'm going to do is put these back over here, and instead we can use this, which is, I think I have Indian Yellow Deep, which would be really good for that. And then this hibiscus would probably be a good tone as well. And I have either a pyrol red, pyrol red, or Paroline Scarlet. That would work well for that. So if we wanted to, we could grab some of that red. This is the pyrol red, however you say it. And this is the Paroline Scarlet. They're very close. One has a little bit more purple in it than the other. But you can see there, I'm pretty sure the pyrol red is going to be the winner with that one. And then the Indian Yellow Deep is going to be this one over here, which is by Artistic Isle Watercolor right here. And just put that here. So you can see what that looks like here. So we would use this one, which is indanthrone blue, this one, which is pyrol red, and then this one, which is Indian Yellow Deep. And so you can kind of test these at this point before we get started by taking, let me get a little bit of a bigger brush that can hold a little bit more water so that you can see how this is going to look. So I'm going to take that Indian Yellow Deep, and I'm going to start by just kind of making this gradient here, adding some water. And then I'm going to grab the pyrol red and go up into there like that. And then add some water. And then grab that indanthrone blue and go into it like that. So you can see how that gradient looks. And again, you can change the intensities. And then what you can do is grab some of that Indian Yellow Deep, some of that pyrol red, and some of that indanthrone blue. And you can mix them to see what you get. So this, as you can see, is going to turn purple. And this is going to turn orange. And then if you mix the yellow, which I don't have enough of because I overwatered it, with the blue, you're going to get a green tone. So you'll have kind of this interesting background that kind of combines all of this. So that is what I think we're going to go ahead and do. So that is how we use the Palette Scout to kind of decide on the background for this and how we're going to work with it. So let us put that into action. So I'm going to move all these cards here, put these back into the deck, and we'll leave these cards out so you can see them. And I'm going to move them off the watercolor paper. I think I have this in my showcase. Let me see. Add a link. And let me see if I can turn that on so that if you guys want to grab a Palette Scout, you can. Hi, Just Journals and Watercolor. How are you this morning? Nice to see you back here. We had some drama yesterday, so it's nice to see a familiar face. Jacksonville. All right, let's see here. Trying to find my shop here. Yeah, we were having such a great live yesterday. It was so much fun. And then some drama happened. So, oh, Deltona. Yeah, that's not far. It's like an hour and a half. Oh, there's Feral Mom. Lori's here. Yay. Okay, sorry. Trying to figure out how to get to my showcase, which I'm not even sure I can do from here. Good morning, Lori. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if I can get to my shop stuff from here to be able to pin. Sell on TikTok shop. No. I was gonna try to pin the Palette Scout in case you guys wanted to get more information on that, but I don't know how to do that from here right now, so I'm just gonna keep going. So don't worry about that. Okay, so yeah, so I'm hoping some of the people that were on yesterday will be on today so that I can have a little chat. We shall see. I just want to show you how pretty this is. Like, this is drying really nicely. I'm really digging that, and I can't wait to do this. So here we go. Lori, so what we did was we used the Palette Scout to reach out of my comfort zone. And we started with Neptune, which is kind of a dupe for my indanthrone blue color that I have in my palette over here. And great question, Jess. I'll get to that in just one sec. And so I pulled the Neptune card and decided to go with the triadic. And the triadic had hibiscus and buttercup. And so I used the number 2 since that was close to the indanthrone blue. And then these two are lighter intensities. These are number 3s. Oh, Lenny's in the house. Okay, shoot, girl. And this one is a dupe for Pyrol Red. And this one is a dupe for Indian Yellow Deep. So I swatched them here. This one was actually Paroline Scarlet, which I thought was a little too red. It didn't quite have that lighter red kind of look to it. So then I showed how we can make it into a gradient, and then I showed how we can mix the colors together to make the purple and the orange and somewhat of a green. So today, we are not all here, but we're getting there. And once I see that most of us are here, we're gonna have a little chat. So today I was very inspired by my daughter's gallery opening last night at her 8th grade gallery opening. I'm gonna try to put these here so you guys can see them. And long story short, just feeling very inspired by a lot of stuff. And the other night I was on TikTok before I went to bed, and I do try to get on and spend some time going through my feed of the people that I follow, especially a lot of my regulars, so that I can interact with them and, you know, help support them and that sort of thing. So one of my regulars, Jen McPole, was on, and she has started doing lives, and she was doing some bookmarks. And I was like, you know what? I'm really inspired by that. Really inspired by what I saw last night. Let's do some bookmarks. So the way she was doing it, which, you know, probably most people do it, and I did a bookmark, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, but I just did the one, was she had one piece of paper and she had it laid out like this, and she just did, you know, individual bookmarks. And then she was going to cut it when she was done. I need to check in with her and see if she did finish it. But so I figured today we're going to get on and we're going to do some bookmarks, and we're going to just make it like one big picture and then cut it into smaller bookmarks. So that's what we're doing, and it's going to be awesome. So we're going to start with a background wash, because you know doodles are coming, and you know some sort of gold acrylic paint or gold ink is coming. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So I am using my good paper. This is Arches cold press 140-pound watercolor paper, because anytime I'm doing a wash, this is really the way to go. And I'm still waiting for my Artistic Isle watercolor pigments to come in so I can finish the peacock, which is this. And then once this is done, okay, shoot, are you sending me a text, Lindsay? Let me know and I'll go check. I can tell offhand that's good paper. Yeah, it's really the highest quality paper. It absorbs well, the sheen. I mean, just look at that sheen. Like, it's just even across. So this one, I want this back so that I can tilt my paper. But anyway, so I can't finish this till I get my center color in. But I did get a shipping notice yesterday, so it should be here hopefully within a week or so. So I usually like to paint on that first gloss of water and then let it sit for just a few seconds. And then I can see your ring light. It's that good. Yeah, exactly. And it's made of 100% pure cotton, which is why it's so good. So it stays wetter longer. That's what she said. And so we're just I usually like to paint it first, leave it for a few seconds so that it can really absorb down through the paper, and then just go over it one more time. We don't want it to puddle. We want it to have that nice sheen to it. But by giving it a moment to absorb that water and then going in with more, it gives it the opportunity to allow it to absorb all the way through and then hold the water on top more evenly. So we're just going to continue just like this. And ta-da! Yeah, I practice on cheap paper too. My day-to-day is on some paper somewhere over here. Oh, here it is. This is part of what started drama yesterday. Watercolor paper from Hobby Lobby. So, yes. All right, so now what I'm going to start off with is bringing in some of that Indian Yellow Deep. And I think what I want for this is to be a little more linear than I typically do. So I'm going to just kind of start by bringing this back and forth, putting it lighter and darker in some areas. Just kind of layering. Yep. I also really like the Canson, but I especially like the 8x8 paper. I like the Canson better from a performance standpoint, but I like that paper because I can scan it more easily on my scanning bed. Also, I'm just going into a little bit of this yellow so you can see it start to turn a little bit green. Because a lot of times when I'm doing like a surface pattern design, I will just watercolor elements onto paper and then I digitize it into vectors. And then when I do that, I just scan it in. So I don't like scan in my work to like try to sell it. I usually photograph it for that, but yeah. I found another gel pen brand that I think you will like. Oh no, Lori, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me, young lady, man? That's what my daughter used to say when she was little. I don't know where she got it from, but it was always really funny to me. What are you doing to me, young lady, man? Okay. So right now I'm just kind of keeping them a little bit separate and only, you know, blending a little bit. I'll send it to you tonight. Okay. Sounds good. I'm excited. I think my other pens, the glitter ones, are supposed to arrive today. I need to double check on that. So now that I've got the paper mostly covered with this, what I'm going to start doing is going back in each color and then really starting to define each one. And within each of those, I'll start also adding hints, like I don't want this to be completely purple, but I do want some purple within it. So I'm going to bring in some of that red here. Let's see here. Okay. And so then I'll bring back some of that blue. And I'm going to bring that over like this. And then we'll add some red into this yellow, make it a little bit more orange. And then I'm going to grab some more of that yellow so we can keep this yellow, but then bring that down into this red here. Try to bring in some more of that orange. And again, going to add red here. That red is really strong, so I might need to kind of calm it down a little bit. Hi, Charlene. Oh, Charlene was here for the drama yesterday. Isn't that right, Charlene? Ooh, I got a lot to talk about with that drama. Yeah, Lori, you definitely missed it. I still owe you a message about it, I think. I did want to talk to everybody about it today, so I still plan to do that, but usually it takes a little bit for everybody to see that I'm on a live stream and then start to join in. So I start waiting. Yeah, Charlene, yes, quite interesting. And normally I wouldn't argue the way that I did yesterday, but the history, like I typically try to give people the benefit of the doubt with that sort of thing, because you can't tell tone of somebody over a chat. But this has been a building situation privately, and I've kind of let it go, and I probably shouldn't have. And yesterday I decided it was time. So. Well, that's another thing. So, and this is really what I wanted to talk about was I post the replays to my website so that when we make art together, you all have the ability to rewatch it and create alongside in case you missed it or you had to jump off in the middle of it or whatever. But when people get on and they start doing that crap, it makes it to where I'm not sure that I can repost it, because then it turns into something that it doesn't need to be. And that's not why I get on here to have fun, to chit chat with other artists, to give freely of my art knowledge. And some people, just everything has to be an argument or an activist, passionate thing. And I'm just not okay with that. This is not the forum for that. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm just lifting my paper up, by the way, like this, because I want this to blend more without lifting any more pigment from the paper. So that's what I'm doing now. But what happened yesterday, and I'm not going to go too far into it because I do want to be able to post this. But what happened yesterday has been building for a time. And I will say, I'm a 42-year-old woman with 4 children. I don't need to be mothered at this point. I'm a grown-ass woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can make my own decisions. I don't need life advice anymore. And if I do, I get it from my mom or my dad or my friends. So. Again, I'm just tilting my paper, letting it mix and meld and kind of do its thing. You can see those arms of color just kind of reaching down, and then right before it covers the rest of the color I don't want it to cover, I'll turn it the other way. And it's pretty because it almost starts to look like a sunset, right? Right, Sassy? That's what I'm talking about. And I'm going to tilt it this way just to get some of that yellow in the corner blended a little bit better. See if I can bring it in a little closer so you can watch. Yeah, you see, they're like little fingers. I love watching it. Wish I had like a macro lens that you could watch that with. Anyway, so now you can see how they've all blended together. I know it doesn't quite look like this, but it's close. And I'm actually pretty happy with it. So this is a great starting point for a background on this. I'm going to get this put back down. That's why I want my clipboard back. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. And there we go. Okay, so this part is a little bit boring. I apologize for that, but I have to dry it before we can move on to the next step. So here we go. Now, while this is boring, this is where I do my my shameless self-promotion, and I ask you to share this with your people. So if you hold down on your screen, you can see, thank you, Andrea. You can see where you can share this with like people, like press down on your screen and it will give you the ability to share with people. So do that for me, please. Appreciate it. Because I'm, trying to grow and stuff. It's funny you say that, Andrea, because lately I have been listening to Coldplay's last album, Moon Music, and my favorite song on there is Rainbow, which is the little rainbow emoji. It's just such a powerful song to me for some reason, and it's not necessarily the words so much as it is like the feel of like Coldplay just has this ability to, it's like sound poetry. And my husband, like, he laughs at me for this. He's like, isn't all music sound poetry? And I'm like, no, there's just something where they create this experience through their album that's more than just singing songs that we like to listen to. Like, it's an immersive cinematic experience that like really just draws you in and encompasses you, and you just feel fully bathed in whatever they're doing. And so that song, and maybe this has something to do with it, but that song, it just, some words sound different. Yeah. And so let me describe what happened and why this song I feel like is so powerful to me. I did not know this person, but my kid's pediatrician and I are very close. And she's a very, very dear friend of mine. And I treasure that relationship so much. And she has 2 kids, and one of them is part of the LGBTQ community and was in medical school and about to graduate. And suddenly, we don't know exactly what happened, but he ended up passing away from anaphylactic shock. They don't know what it was. They were not aware of him having any sort of allergies like that, but he went into anaphylactic shock and he died. And it's been a little over a year. And around that time, that album was really, more, I don't remember when exactly it came out, but I remembered that was around the time that it was, like, I was still, like, really into listening to the album all the time because it had recently come out. And that song first reminded me of him because LGBTQ plus and being Coldplay, that album does have, like, there's a song called Jupiter that, talks about you love who you love, or love who you love, and that sort of thing. And, they're really supportive of LGBTQ plus. And so that song reminded me of him for that. But the way that they do the actual music, not the actual, like, singing part, although there is some of that too, but the actual, like, sound, it's like at the beginning it comes in with like this really cinematic sound, and then all of a sudden you hear this deep bass that like starts somewhere and then it just goes really, really low, like something really heavy's coming, and then it's kind of slow at the beginning, and then it just goes into this really heavy drum, again, very cinematic sound. And it sounds really, it makes you feel this longing and this pain that you don't even know is there, but it just has this longing to it. And then all of a sudden it clears up and this beautiful melody comes out on a piano. And at the end, they have Maya Angelou saying, is it Maya Angelou? Something like that says, when it looks like the sun will not shine anymore, God put a rainbow in the clouds. And I've had so many rainbows, and it ends like that. And it's just like, there's just something about that song that has always reminded me of him, even though I never met him. But again, I'm very close to our pediatrician. And so it's like when that happened, that song has always been so powerful. And so I shared that with her. And of course, now that's like her favorite song. And I have been texting with her a little bit more about it because I've been listening to that album again. And I was driving to my Mayo appointment on Monday for my sinuses. And I listened to the version of the album. It's called the Full Moon Edition, which has like all the extra songs and stuff on it. You know how some artists will come out with like the album, but then they have like the extended version or whatever. And so they have the Full Moon Edition. And so they took some of those cinematic like piano parts and put them towards the end of the album. And I didn't know it, but I was listening to it and I happened to look, and it was called Angel Song, that piano part of it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I took a picture of it and I sent it to her. I was like, I had no idea this was called Angel Song. Like, it was just like one of those like hair stands up on your arms situations. It's just like, ugh. So anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Okay. So we've got our background. It's lovely. It's beautiful. Oh, Lindsay's back. Hello, Lindsay. And, there's a couple things we can do to this, and I'd love your input on it. Oh, somebody asked, hang on. Sassy Soul says, where can I buy one of those cool dryers? So this is a heat gun. I got this, I think, at Michael's or Joann's or something. It's by Doris. Joann's is no longer in business, but you can buy these on TikTok Shop. I think if you go to my showcase, you'll find one. You can also go to my, I can't say it, the AMZ store, Fernt, and they're like, I don't know, $10 or $12, and they are usually used for like embossing, melting embossing powder, because they get super duper hot. But I like using it for drying my watercolors because it's super duper hot and it helps evaporate the water faster. The other thing is that you can just use a hair dryer, but it won't work as quickly. But because I do embossing, that's why I have it. Okay. So the couple of things we can do to this. We can put another layer, make it darker, or we can do like what I have been doing so much of, which is doing like what we did with this and doing like some of these darker sort of swashes where we kind of glaze it in. Or we could do like what we did in our session last Friday night and make some of these kind of bubbles over the top and doodle. Kind of what I was leaning towards was more of the, this, you know, the whole thing that I just showed you. There's another one. Here it is. Not doing something quite as busy as this, but doing kind of more of these little things all the way through and, you know, darkening some of the areas in between. So what do you guys think? Or do you want me to just do it and you guys trust me with the process? Oh, I have one more you can get an idea of. Like this. I'd show you the other bookmark I did, but it's upstairs in my room. It takes too long to get there and I'd get so out of breath. So what you guys think? Plumerias? I'm not doing plumerias, fool. I'm talking about this whole thingy like this. I don't even know what a plumeria looks like. Wait. Yes, I do. Never mind. I'm an idiot. I know, you're the only one talking back. Thanks, Charlene. Oh, Andrea says, sunset silhouette with a bench looking over reflection. Well, that wasn't really what I had in mind. I meant, because I do more abstract. So these are going to be bookmarks. So they're going to be like cut into bookmarks. I'll tell you what, how about I just go with it and you'll see what I mean. So let me grab my pencil. Pencil. Okay, pencil. Because that's gonna be me in 3 weeks. I know that's right. Yeah, I don't make pictures like that. I make abstract stuff. And this isn't a painting. It's a bookmark, Linny. And then we're going to cut it into strips. Ya butt. All right, so how about let's do this. We'll start here. And there. And everywhere. Oh, I can't even see that. Let's try that again. Why is this not showing up? Let's try that again. Okay. Oh, I bet this is a little too wet still. Shouldn't be, but whatever. Or this pencil just sucks. We're just going to do this. Well, I was asking about the style, not about what picture to make. But what do you gild with? I do adhesive sizing and just like a faux gold foil. Okay. I know this doesn't look like much yet. It looks like my tie-dye shirt. Oh, your tie-dye shirt was awesome. Did you hear back from that store? Did they give you your money back or offer to send you one that didn't have a hole in it? Okay. So, the way this works, and this is why it's so funny. That is so crappy. You should do a live or a video. Oh my gosh, are you serious? You have a problem. You have a problem. Okay, so the way this is going to work is I'm going to start by doing the wet on wet technique here. And I'm going to add some water to this area here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to glaze it with some watercolor. So I'm going to grab some of that indanthrone blue and put it in here like this. I was going to say, you should go on to, you should make a video and say, don't ever purchase from these people. They send you stuff with holes in it. But apparently, you're still buying stuff from them. Okay, shoot, girl. Then I'm going to grab some of that yellow and come up from the bottom here just to give it a little bit more vibrance. Now, you don't have to use the same color as what's underneath it. The point is to see what's underneath it on this wash showing through, but this part being more vibrant and kind of see-through. So I'm just going to kind of blend these a little bit like this. There we go. And now I'm not going to do this part yet because obviously still wet. I don't want it to blend with the rest. So now we have to kind of decide though, which one of these is going to be considered a cell that we paint and which one is one that we're not going to paint. So the ones next to it, we're not going to paint. This is one that we will paint. However, then we have this one in between here that we don't want to paint. So I think the easiest thing to do will actually be to just dry this with a heat gun first to establish what we're painting and what we're not. Because we want them to be attached in some way. So I'm just going to quickly dry this one. This one doesn't need to be dried all the way through. It just needs to be dried enough that it won't bleed into each other. Okay, so now I'm going to grab some more water and I'm going to start up here in the corner. And again, we're doing the wet on wet technique. So I'm going to go right up against this graphite here that I have laid down with that pencil. And then we're going to drop in some more color. And this one I might just put some of that Indian yellow deep. Now you don't have to stick to the colors that we used on the background because sometimes you can add other colors that really help make the colors underneath it pop. And one of them that I like to do is like a teal over the top or a turquoise. And I'll show you what that looks like here in just a sec because I might actually do that for this one instead of the yellow. Actually, I'll do that one under here. So let's go into that Indian yellow deep and we're just going to drop that in here like this. That's probably a little darker than I wanted it to be. So we're just going to pick some of that up. Hello, which watercolors are you using? That's a great question. So the Indian yellow deep I'm using is from Artistic Isle Watercolor. And the red is by Daniel Smith. It's called Pyrol Red. And then the blue that I'm using is also by Daniel Smith. It's called Indanthrone Blue. And so what I'm going to do is just continue to lift some of that extra color out that I didn't mean to put in there. There we go. And then what I'll do as well is grab a little bit of sap green and kind of just add it to the bottom here. Gives it just a little bit of a gradient. All right, I'm gonna dry this. Okay. And then now we can start to see which ones we're going to end up actually, you know, painting next to. So for example, this will be one, this will be one, this won't be, this will be. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to grab, let's see, I'll come in from this angle because even though I used my pencil to mark where it's going to go, this line just looks a little weird, so I'm not going to follow that line. I'll just use my water and my paintbrush to guide me there. All right, so let me show you what a teal would look like, or a turquoise would look like on this. So I'm going to use this color. This is the Winsor & Newton turquoise. And I'm just going to drop that into here like this. And again, you can still see the, oh, that was too dark. You can still see the color underneath it. It just kind of gives it an extra tint that I find pretty. and it really makes it stand out from the background. And maybe towards the bottom here, I might add some quinacridone gold. That's usually the yellow I go for because it's kind of yellow and orange. It's a little bit warmer toned than the Indian Yellow Deep, which maybe you can't tell so much here, but that's all right. Okay, so now the next one is going to be, I'll do this one first while that one dries a little bit. That way I can dry two of them at once. And I usually like to work left to right because I am right-handed, so I don't want to put my hand in the paint. Just an FYI. All right, and so for this one, I'm going to go into, let's do the pyrol red and just glaze it. Like I said, we're not looking to recolor it. We're just looking to add a little glaze to the top. You still want to see what's underneath it. Okay. Okay, so now we'll do this one. And this one, let's go in with, let's do sap green. There we go. And then while that one's drying a little bit, I'll come down here and do this one. And this one I want to liven up a little bit. So I'm going to bring in this orange right here. And glaze it with that orange. I'm just going to pick up some of that orange because it is a little more vibrant than I wanted it to be. There we go. And let's go. Okay, so now we're going to do this one. Now, it may not make sense right away because obviously we're trying to keep gaps. However, because this one is attached to this and these are attached here, we still need to make sure we do this one. So I'm going to start by, I'm going to try to keep this paint here, or this tape here. And again, starting with the wet on wet. And because we're using this heat gun, the wet on wet technique, when you go to put the water on, it does dry a little quicker because it's warm. Paper's warm. So you may need to add a couple little extra things of water as it evaporates. Some extra puddles. May look like a lot at first, but it's not. And you don't have to be super precious with the line work either, because we're going to go over that. I'm trying to decide if I want to go over that with foil, or if I want to go over that with acrylic paint, like a gold acrylic paint, or ink. Not sure yet. All right, so for this one, I'm thinking we're going to do the Indian Yellow Deep. It's, again, a bit darker than I would have hoped, so I'm going to lift some of that out of there. This, I love this color, and I love this pigment from Artistic Isle. It is, thank you. It is a bit, it's easy to be very heavy-handed with it. And I think that's kind of the sign of a good watercolor, isn't it? Maybe towards the bottom, I'll bring in a little bit of that orange. Well, no, because we did orange here. Let's bring in a little bit of that blue. Liven it up just a little bit. See what I mean about the heavy-handed? Okay, I think that looks good. All right, so I'm not going to worry about drying this right now because we're going to move on to over here. So we'll start over here. That can dry on its own since it doesn't need to be painted up against. So we can just move on to this one. Now, if you wanted these to not be so light and glazed, you could absolutely be heavier handed with the pigment. But where I'm going with this in my mind, I want to start out lighter than darker. And I know it's hard to envision because you don't live in my brain, but I promise you, it will look nice when I'm done. Oh, David William is paying $5 grand to the first 5 who message him faith. You guys, I don't understand why these people come in here and they offer to pay $5 grand when they could just give it to me. Blocked. Get real tired of these people. All right. I'm going to go in with some cobalt violet and just add some violet here. All right, now we've got a couple of different ways we can go with this. And I'm thinking we're gonna go here. So let's do this. Oh, I forgot to dry that first. Let me do that first. We'll dry just that part. Okie dokie. Let's see. Actually, I think I see another line. Yeah, I do. So I guess we're actually going to stop it right there instead of over here. My apologies. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see these lines. Apologies. What else could I be? Apologies. Let's see, this one goes all the way over to here. All right, and I think for this one I'll go for a pukey green. This is called Rich Green Gold. Doesn't look so pukey on the top of this, but by itself it's definitely a pukey green. Don't let it fool you. Might even go in at the bottom there and add some Cascade green. Teal it up a bit. There we go. All right, let's try it. Next. All right, this one I'll go in with, let's try some indigo. Indigo might be nice. This one is similar to indanthrone blue. A little less of the bluey pigment. The more vibrant blue. Might even add just a little bit of this garbage, I can't even say it. Garbage violet is what I call it. But it's called carbazole violet. But if you've been following me, you know I call it garbage violet. Boy, it really gets hot under this light with this heat gun. You know what I mean? Okay. Now, I also have a couple options here. I can either go here, or both, and here. And I think I'm just going to have to leave this one as is. So we'll just do that then. Make that one like do this one like this. All right, and then these, let's do, I'm gonna go with green again. We'll do sap green. Oof, that's some really dark sap green. Okay, and then we'll do phthalo turquoise on this one. And then that little one, we'll do kind of this purpley, I think this is called Rose of Ultramarine. And add a little bit of that pyrol red. Okay, doggy. All right, we're moving along. Now I'm gonna jump over to this one. Sometimes I hate it when I do too many of these lines because then they take forever. And then I hate myself, you know. I don't literally hate myself, so I don't need anybody jumping in my comments on that. Just so you guys know. All right, this one I'm going to start with some Cascade Green. And I'm going to ease it into some quinacridone gold. And then I can't really see where this graphite goes, but I think it's right here. So I'm just making them up now. All right, this one I'm going to go in with the red. I tend to steer away from red because I'm not as much of a fan of red. It's loud to me. But I know it's not loud in this, and I'm trying to be more embracive of red. My mom loves red. It's her thing. It's her color. Okay. I can't really see what I did beyond here, but I'm imagining this goes something like this. I'm just going to leave it for now. Okay. Get in there, everybody. Get in there. That's what she said. Okay. Let's see here. So this would be the next one. And I think I'll do orange on this one. And let's do this one. I'm trying to speed up this part of the process because it's boring. All right, so I'll grab some sap green for this one. And I'll grab some Cascade green for this one. Is it? I get so bored by it. What I really like is the doodling part, because I can get lost in the doodling. But this is the part where I'm just like, ugh. But it gets better, I promise. All right, now let's do this one. This one, I think I will go with some indanthrone blue. Bring that back in here somewhere. Actually, don't really love that that covered up so much. Let's see if I can cover some of that blue. And maybe instead try to go over it with some more orange. There. Maybe make it a little bit more orangey than it was. Maybe add a little bit of Indian yellow deep. So it's not the same orange as the one next to it. Okay, good enough. All right, so if we're going by this, then this one would be the next one. It's the ghost colors that get formed. Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's part of why I like doing the, I call it the stained glass look. I don't know what they would technically call it, or the glaze. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And this one I think I'll go with the turquoise. Because it's like, it plays with your mind a bit, because it's like you can see the colors underneath it, but yet you can still see the color change on the top, yet you can still read the colors underneath it, yet you can still see the color on the top, you know? So it's like, wait a second. What is my mind doing to itself? I'm gonna add a little bit of sap green to the bottom of that one. All right, now let's see here. I can't see where the graphite was on this, but I'm gonna guess that this probably went something like this. So I'm gonna do a triangle cell thingy here. We'll do the teal there again too. You know what, that can't be right, because there's nothing coming from this direction, so it would have to be this entire thing right here. So let me just paint that in. And again, I think I'll bring in some of that sap green too, just to bring in some visual interest here. It's going to be a bit dark, but whatever. Okay. Now, let's see here. All right. So, let's start up here. We're going to do this one. And I think for this one, we'll bring in some of that pyrol red. Now this one doesn't need to be dried, because all the triangles next to it are going to need to be painted. So then we'll do this one. And this one. I'm going to use quinacridone gold for this one over here. And I'm going to use rich green gold for this one over here. Okay. So now we're going to go to this one. I think we'll go teal for this, or turquoise for this one. All right, so we're at kind of an interesting spot here because we have these two blank areas here. And so this attaches here, and this attaches here, this attaches here, this attaches here, this attaches here and here. But then this one in theory should attach here. But then you end up having all of these blank. So then where are they going to attach to? So my thoughts are we could attach, or we could make one almost triangle thing here, but that might not make any sense. Because this could come like this. And then paint that one, and this one, and this one. And then that would make sense. Let's do that. We're just going to do that. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool too. Okay, so let's start by getting into this corner right here. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of mimic this line here, coming down and meeting this right there. And I'll make this one kind of a purple tone. Okay, and now I think it'll make more sense. So then we're going to come down here and do this one. And this one will be, let's do the indanthrone blue again. And then I feel like we need to kind of separate this one up too, because then it kind of doesn't make sense to have these two next to each other where they're not separated by something. But we'll come back to that. I'm gonna get this one going first. And this one, let's do let's do green. Oof, that was too much. Let's try that again. You know, instead of sap green, maybe olive green might have been a better choice for this one. Let me see if I can pull out some of this olive green. There. All right. Okay, so going back to this one, we need to have something separating these two. So I'm going to put something right here. So I'm going to come along this line right here. And separate these two like this. Okay. And for this one, let's use some quinacridone gold. It's hard to see around this glare sometimes. Okay, there we go. And then we have this one. What is your favorite paper, Jen? I've never tried Arches, but want to. Definitely Arches. It's expensive, but it is professional grade. I don't know of a higher quality paper than that. I'm sure somebody might, but I don't know of any that are better than that. You can start off by doing like getting the smaller pads of them. I think I have one in my showcase. That's like a smaller one that's more affordable. It's like 20 bucks. What I have done in the past when I have been commissioned for works, which is why I have so much of it right now, is I have worked for art supplies, including Arches paper, and I'll get the really big blocks of it, and then I'll trim it down for my projects. So it goes a little bit further, I feel like. All right, let's go up here. Basically, any 100% cotton paper is going to be your best bet. All right, last one, everybody. Let's see here. Let's go with green. Sap green. All right, so this is where it starts to get fun, because it's not going to look plain anymore after we start in on the next process. I think I've decided I want to do gold foil, because I'm obsessed with gold foil, even though I hate the process of putting it on. But I think you guys are going to like it. Just going to dry my paper a little bit better. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is my adhesive sizing that I put in a bottle, and these bottles came with these little metal tips. Yeah, this is the fun part. It does get messy and sticky, but it is what it is. All right, so I'm going to use the smallest tip that I have here so I can get some nice fine lines. And essentially, this squeeze bottle just looks like this, and this just screws on top. Now, this is not going to be perfect by any means. This stuff is real loose and milky, and that's what she said. And I hate having sticky hands. It's like, it drives me nuts. So usually what I like to do is start over here and just kind of let some out just to see how it's going to behave. And then I come over here and I start the process. Oop, you see how fast that came out? We don't want big globs because they take forever to dry. So you shouldn't have to squeeze a whole lot. It should just kind of fall out of there. That's what she said. There's a whole lot of that happening in this conversation today. Okay, so you can see it's kind of an uneven line. It's okay, I don't really care. No, it's called adhesive sizing. It looks like this. So it goes on white, it dries clear. Again, that's what she said. And once it's dry, you can add your metal leaf to it and it will stick because it's real sticky when it's dry. One thing to note too is that when you tilt this up like this and then you go to tilt it back down, there's usually always an air bubble. So that's why I like to start on the tape first to get that air bubble out. See, look, just did this little double butt right here. So just know that. If you accidentally go outside the line like I did here, it's not a big deal. I know, right? It's not a big deal. Just, you know, add some more until you get the right coverage you need. Dang, that double bubble. Juicy double. It's a sticky bubble. Sticky, juicy double. Okay. And again, I'm working left to right because I'm right-handed. I do not want to put my hand in sticky stuff if I don't have to. And again, that's what she said. Now I've already noticed some of this is dry and I missed some of this area here. So we're going to do that. You could use a less fine tip, but again, this stuff basically just comes right out. And so you will end up with quite a large mess. So I tend to go for the finer tip so I have just a little bit more control over how much comes out. There's a lot of that's what she said moments in this part. Dang these air bubbles. Double bubble. I don't necessarily mind how there's kind of these almost beaded look to it. I think that actually kind of looks cool. It's certainly not intentional, but I'll take it. Ah, double bubble. That one wasn't actually a double, but that's what I'm talking about right there. I know you see that. So annoying. Now I'm trying to intentionally get that beaded look. Might need to go over these again at some point to do that. Alright, oh dear. Gonna have a lot of those blobbies. Double bubble. That one is a double bubble. Double bubble. That's a big double bubble. Am I running out? No, it's just extra bubbly apparently for some reason right now. What is that? It was just going so well. No kidding. See, this one's going fine. I don't know why the other one wasn't. Maybe it's at the angle that I hold it at. I don't know. And so you want to avoid these big blobs, because what'll happen is you go to put your gold leaf on it, and what'll happen is it stays extra sticky. And so if you touch it, then it'll tear, like the sticky will go through and it'll tear the foil off, and it's really obnoxious. So that's why I don't like having these big sticky parts. So I think what I'm going to try to do is reduce them a little. Where am I? I have a couple of sticks that I usually use. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can pick up some of this. Not very well. Let's try maybe some Q-tips. Oh yeah, that's much better. Like, I don't mind that they're spread out like that. I just need them to not be as three-dimensional as they're trying to be. I'm gonna grab my Q-tips over here for a second. Okay. So that looks good. I'm just going to kind of clean up these edges a little bit on the tape, because those are also a pain when you go to finally do this and everything else is dry except those. The other thing I'm going to do is come over here and kind of add some of those same dots to what we did over here already. so there's a little bit of cohesiveness. Of course, it's already drying on the nozzle on this thing, so there is that. Okay, so I am going to take this and drop it in the water. So it helps to keep it from doing stuff. Thanks, Lineage. What are you eating for lunch today, boo? I put the chili that you gave me in the side door of my fridge, and I kept forgetting about it. And I said, Colby, last night, I was like, don't let me forget to put that in the freezer because it's going to go bad. Because I kept having other things that I needed to eat first. So I finally remembered last night to put it in there. He let me forget. Jerk. Cancel Colby. All right, let me dry this. Now, for those of you with the heat gun and this thing with adhesive sizing, you don't want to get the heat gun too close to the adhesive sizing, and you don't want to sit in one spot over the adhesive sizing that you're trying to dry for too long, because it will bubble and crisp up and kind of ruin your application of it, so don't do that. All right, Charlene, are you still here? Okay, we are about to get ready for the foil part. I'm just waiting for this one spot to dry. This one is just about dry. Let's see if I can pop that and get it to finish up into the drying process. All right, here we go. So let me get my foil. I have just this thing that I have a foil. I'm going to turn off my fan because it is so light that it does fly everywhere. For something this large, I find it easier to just start with sheets of foil versus just using leftover crumbs that I have. So they come in sheets like this. And what I like to do is take the sheets with the little paper that comes on it like this. And what I'll do is lay it down over the top like that. And I'll just take my hand and kind of just press it down over that sheet. And the reason why I do it over the sheet is because sometimes if you don't use the sheet, it'll tear through this, and you can get the sticky on your finger through this, and then it'll ruin your sizing application. Then you got to do it again, which is annoying, and we don't want to have to redo stuff if we don't have to. So then again, we're just going to take another sheet like this, put it down next to it, same thing. I'm going to go down here. Now, for a part that doesn't require a full sheet, typically what I try to do is rip it like where I can, and then I'll use this leftover here to try to cover an area that maybe I didn't also need a full sheet for. So go there, and this will be the same. So I'll lay this down here like this. And then grab this, and lay this down here, and then I'll just take this extra piece, take this extra piece and put it down in there. Okay, so then there's a couple different types of brushes you can use for this. I'm just kind of laying my hand over to make sure I don't feel any sticky through. I'm going to feel it on the tape because that's just where it's at. I have this brush. That was a makeup brush that I used to use. I like it because I cut it down, so like on really stubborn pieces I can really just get in there, but it does scratch the foil, and I don't particularly love the scratched foil look, but if it's just really thin lines like what we have here, I don't necessarily mind it. But I also have this isn't like my favorite watercolor brush, so I kind of repurposed it for this. So at this point what I'm going to do is just start kind of pulling up larger pieces that I know I can just kind of, it's kind of like peeling a sunburn. If you've ever had one and you've ever done that, I know some people think that's really gross. I am the person that loves peeling a good sunburn. I don't like getting a sunburn, and I protect my skin, but I love peeling a good sunburn. All right, so I'm just going to start. So like, for example, right here, I can tell there is no sizing underneath here. So this needs to be broken. But something soft like this doesn't typically break that very easily, whereas something like this does. So I can come over here and you can see how that ripped it very easily. So now I can peel that back, or I could just go in here and continue with that process like this. And I kind of just go easy on the first go round to get kind of the big chunks off. And then I'll go a little more aggressively once the bigger chunks are off and get them put back into this container. I'm glad somebody understands me. My husband thinks it's so gross, but I also like to pop zits, you know, like I'm a zit popper. I love popping me a good zit. And I love watching Dr. Pimple Popper. It's weird, I know. Okay, so I'm going to start kind of brushing this way, kind of trying to make a little pile of it. Again, I know I'm not going to have everything lifted the way that I would like, but this will be kind of the first initial layer of some of these larger pieces, so I can just pick them up by hand and put them in like that. And I'm going to move this over so I can get over here. Hopefully you can still see that pretty good. Oh, my puppy thinks she's tough. She thinks she's tough. Okay. Now I'm just going to kind of wipe that into a pile. And because this is not on a clipboard, I'm going to peel it up like this. Oh, but it gets so much better, Charlene. You just wait. So I'm going to take this, and now I'm going to really start trying to encourage some of this off. Now, I may not be able to show you as much as I would like just because of the angle that this is at, but I really just start going more aggressively at this because I want these little flakes to fall back in here because they truly will go everywhere if you're not careful. And I hate that because it gets over everything, which is why I turned my fan off. And of course, now I'm getting sweaty because it's freaking hot under this light. But the idea is to really get around every little nook and cranny that you applied the sizing to, because you'll see, like, let me see if I can see this or show it to you. You'll see like this right here. It has like a little flap right there. You see that? That little flap? Like that's not part of the sizing, and you've really got to be aggressive with it to get it to come off and break off. So that's where, you know, getting those big pieces off first really helps. And then you can see those areas much better, and then they'll, you know, break off easier as you go. But that's also why having those big raised areas of adhesive sizing is not good, because when you are being more aggressive, your brush will go through the foil and then get that stick on it, and your brush will get sticky and it's a pain, and yeah, it's no good. Move this around. Oops, picked up a sheet. Thanks for the tape. Okay, let's go to this side. Ugh, get off my finger. You get off my tape. Now, some of these areas accidentally got adhesive sizing in them, like this one. This one, unfortunately, may not be very recoverable. That might be the only area. You see that one as well. Okay, this is looking great. Do you see how beautiful? Look how beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside for a second, and I'm gonna pick up all these flakes so I can turn my fan back on. Whoops, I don't know. Oh, that was my pencil sharpener. And I'm just gonna take this and brush it this way. And then I'm gonna take my hand and just put it in here. There will be flakes left over, just is what it is. And then I put that in a corner where my fan will leave it alone. And then I will turn my fan back on. Where did I put my fan remote? There it is. And here we are. Isn't it beautimous? Beautimous, beautimous. Okay. Now, there's a reason I leave the tape on, because we are not even close to done with this yet. Although you could be done with this. If you wanted to chop this up and make this into a bookmark, you absolutely could. And so when, I mean, I suppose you could take the tape off if you wanted to, but point is, I'm not done. And I want to make sure that I have these borders that I have, just in case I want to, you know, well, I guess I won't actually have borders. Whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about, you guys. Ooh, that was bad. Okay, so we've got this done. I think this is going to be a 2-day project. I think we're going to finish this one up tomorrow because I'm hungry and I've been on for 2 hours. But here's what I want you to see so far. We've got the gold foiling. And do you see all the cells that we painted that are slightly darker than the background? So this is where it gets really interesting, is that we are going to go back in and we are actually going to paint more in some of them. We are going to add some, oh my gosh, patterns in some of them as well. And then within those patterns, we're going to add some more stained glassy effects. So what do I mean by that? I mean, for example, this might not be a good example, but do you see how in this one we have this pattern, and then within that we have these little stained glass effects that just bring out little cells within the pattern. That's what we are going to be doing to these. And so it's going to look amazing. And then we'll cut them into bookmarks when we're all done. And yeah, I will probably put them on my website for sale. So stay tuned tomorrow for more magic, just like you said, Charlene. So I'm really excited. And yeah, this was definitely really fun. And hopefully you all enjoyed this process, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, Smile. Thank you. I was actually just fixing to log off. But yeah. But I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.